While our focus has been back at home, which it should be, our focus should always be back on American way and all the things going on with the verdict with Trump, but there's a lot more happening. Politico had a story and they broke it yesterday. While all that was taking place, Biden secretly allowed the launching and the movement of U.S. weaponry into Ukraine to bomb into Russia, inside Russia. That is a big deal. Now, we have sold a lot of things to them. Yes, we've given tons of money for them to buy supplies that personally U.S. companies are making. Now we're upping it. And now we're seeing NATO do the same thing. An emergency NATO meetings taking place, dealing with Poland, dealing with U.S. Hey, there's peace talks and Russia's not involved. That's pretty crazy news. There's a lot that took place dealing with this Russia-Ukraine situation and the steps of a third war that we don't want to see. We're the ones causing it. We're the ones causing it, us and NATO. What are we doing? Let's talk about it today. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. What a crazy 24 hours we've had when it comes to the fact of Trump and the situation with him. That's a big deal, and I think it's going to be one of the biggest fundraising days that the Trump campaign probably ever felt. I think two things you're going to see, of course, is either a perp walk and him put in jail or put in confines of being on house arrest to simply take him off the campaign trail. It's kind of curious that they're putting the actual date, hear the charges, and go before the judge again just a few days before the RNC convention. So be watching that. But that's not what today's video is about. It's actually, while that was going on, what did Biden just do? He secretly allowed for some things to get transferred to Ukraine. And not only that, not just the fact that we're selling, not the fact that we're giving money, he's allowing our personal weaponry, the things that we're using, we're actively using, not the stuff that we've retired, not the stuff that some of our defense contractors are selling. Our personal U.S. weaponry is now in Ukraine. That is a huge escalation. NATO also had an emergency meeting and pushing with Poland to say, you know what, we may have a chance where we're going to go closer and move more into a heavier proxy war with Russia, or even put troops on the ground. Now, people think I'm crazy when I say troops on the ground. France has already said they will put troops on the ground in Ukraine. That is what we're talking about now. The proxies are the ones actually escalating the war now. Two things. Russia is still saying, Putin just came out yesterday and said, even with this, knowing that Poland is upticking their talks with NATO to bring more nuclear warheads and more mobilization of troops on the border, knowing American U.S. weaponry is going to be in Ukraine, knowing Russia is moving into Kharkiv and actually aggressively taking every spot that they're in Ukraine, Putin still said, I'm open to negotiations and peace talks. I want to have a ceasefire. But the West is not having it. The West is going to keep on funneling your taxpayer dollars, and innocent lives will be at stake, all because we want power and we want to prove a point. The new lines are there. We've got to drop this. There has been too many people die of this war. Here's the thing, though. We're the ones escalating at this point, and Putin's already said if American or the NATO puts troops here, you will fall into nuclear war. Are we really wanting to do that? Especially when the man is saying, I'm willing to have a ceasefire. I'm willing to stop moving across Ukraine. Leave the lines where they're at. I'm willing to stop. But instead, we're the ones pushing more warheads and more weaponry into Ukraine so they can use them against the Russian people. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't care for Russia. I think they're bad players. I don't care for Ukraine. I think they're money launderers and bad players too. But the problem is you have more politicians worried about what's going on in Ukraine versus what's actually happening back at home. It's a travesty of what's happened to Trump in this verdict. And none of the Republicans, even the Republicans, the conservatives, yeah, they'll get on Twitter and they'll talk about how bad it is. They'll get on YouTube and talk about how bad it is. But they're actually doing nothing about it. But no, our politicians, Republicans and Democrats alike, are worried more about Ukraine. And I love this when people, again, they're saying we want Ukrainian sovereignty. What we're doing is we're wanting Ukrainians' demise, because when they're wearing the flags and pushing more money over there, they're killing men, women, children by the hundreds of thousands in Ukraine, and no one's talking about it. So NATO came in and they had an emergency meeting with Poland saying we are wanting to up the war. We're wanting to take the proxy war to the next level. We got to stop Russia from marching towards Kharkiv. Russia's already said they're willing to stop marching with the ceasefire agreement. But no, NATO is acting like they didn't hear that. They're ignoring it. And what's so funny is they're actually wanting to hold peace talks. NATO and Ukraine are wanting to hold peace talks with the world. And guess who's not invited? Russia. Russia is not invited. Also declined to come because Russia wasn't invited. China. So the two biggest players on the world stage, other than America, is not even coming to the peace talks, dealing with the sovereignty of a Ukrainian-Russia war. So how are you going to have peace talks? It's all just a puppet show. They're all going to go over there and act like they're wanting peace, and Russia doesn't. Actually, Russia's saying, I want peace, let's come to the table. And what's so sad is America's not willing to negotiate it. China's even stepped in and said, we're willing to negotiate. So China's being a bigger man than America in this battle. Just get blowback on that, and people say, well, why are you giving, kudos to Russia or China? I'm not, absolutely not. But we're third world in ourselves over here and locking up the opposition, just like China and Russia has done with their opposition. Xi and Putin's opposition had the same issues when it comes to elections. They were arrested, and all of a sudden one was killed. The other one was persecuted to a point of non-existence when it comes to China. But now we're doing the same thing. So Biden is literally doing exactly what Putin and Xi are doing. What makes us any better? So therefore, when they're willing to come to the table and stop a major war, we're the ones still funneling it. So why do we care what happens in China and Taiwan? I'm just being honest. Let's speak frankly. Why do we care? Because it's just going to fund another war for America. We should be stopping war. Our leaders should be stopping war. Instead, Biden secretly, while all this stuff was going on with the court system, he secretly gave more U.S. true weaponry to Ukraine to battle in Russia. Not in Ukraine. Not to use it on the front lines in Ukraine. He's saying you can use my missiles, you can use U.S. goods to shoot into Russia. That is a major escalation, and people are seeing it. India, China, Russia, Iran, even Saudi Arabia, all saying, "Whoa, now you're pushing a button that you shouldn't be pushing, America." Turkey, all these people that supposedly are our allies, they're realizing you're going too far, NATO. You're going too far, America. You're going to put us all in a world war that we're not ready for, and no one asked for, except for probably the defense contractors. What are we doing? And I think, again, we get so blinded by the media because the people that are saying they stand with Ukraine are literally saying we want to send our troops, we want to see more bloodshed, we want to spend more of our tax dollars, we want to put ourselves in more civil unrest back at home because we have no money that we're printing, and the Americans are paying more for their burgers, for their groceries, for their energy. All that goes together. So when we read these stories and we're so blinded by what the media is telling us, war is terrible. War is, we try to make light of it because we put a news guy over there and he's talking and he hears a bomb in the distance. What we're actually seeing is people are dying. Families getting destroyed across the world in war. And it's all because we're willing to fund it. If we quit funding it, then you can stand with Ukraine all you want and actually go to the agreement table and say, let's talk about the new lines and let's stop this. That way Ukraine can rebuild, and that way Russia can get to a point of not going any further. And you know what? Americans are still going to make gazillions of dollars because guess what? BlackRock and a few other ones have already got contracts to rebuild Ukraine. Isn't it funny how that circle works? That America sends American business over here, Americans send American defense over here, Americans send all this, and really what we're doing is we're allowing all the upper elite to get filthy rich off of people dying in Ukraine. So who's actually standing with the Ukrainian people? Or is it just a way to funnel more money in their pockets? So our focus should be back at home. Our focus should be on the fact that we're now a third world country. And I love what Tucker Carlson said. He said, you import the third world, meaning we've allowed so many people across our border. We become the third world because we want to be just like them. All this mass migration, this global agenda. Biden is becoming Xi, he's becoming Putin, he's becoming Erdogan, he's becoming the one who is the tyrant, to where he says, okay, I don't like what you're saying, so we're going to arrest you and we're going to persecute you, we're going to take all your money. It's amazing. Trump pays one person. I want you to listen to this. Trump paid one person, no matter if he did it or not, but it's none of our business. You know what's crazy? How much money has Congress paid, hush money, for their sexual harassment claims? Do you know that? I'm going to leave you with this. Trump pays this person $130,000. If he did or not, it doesn't matter. It's his freaking money. I mean, he can do what he wants with his money. His own money, $130,000 is what they're saying. They're holding him guilty of that. Listen to this. Meanwhile, taxpayers, you and me, have paid $17 million in undisclosed hush payments to cover up sexual harassment claims from congressmen. So he pays $130,000 to one person, while you, the American taxpayer, are paying $17 million for all those congressmen who are supposed to be ethical and good, moral, outstanding people. Guess what? No one knows about them because they had to sign disclosures. They had to do NDAs. No one knows what those disclosures say. No one knows who those people are. So while he pays his own money to this person, now may seek jail or house arrest because of this third world country mentality by the Democratic Party, $17 million have been paid out in settlements by Congress. And it wasn't Congress's money. It was mine and yours. So who's the real victim? Who's the real guilty? And what should really happen? That's the truth that nobody hears. So while all that's going on, we have a war that we're secretly funding. Not only now, we're secretly putting missiles there. We're putting our stock there. That's an escalation that the world is not ready for. And actually, most of the world who were kind of on the fence is now saying, NATO and America, there's some emergency meetings happening when it comes to this, and you need to pay attention to it. Because while we're getting dangled over here and the carrots in front of us here, there's some major things going on over here. And that is something we should be concerned with. That's why we prepare. That's why we seek God. That's why we try to find truth and wisdom. Because it's hard to find, especially when we're getting told everything and we're just basically lambs getting led to slaughter. Guys, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. Again, if you're new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, please. Ring the bell, and that way you know what's coming up. Give us a thumbs up. It means the world to me. And again, thank you so much for watching. God bless.